Good day. We are looking today at some standards here dealing with trade and religions around the year 1500. And first we're going to start with trade. So grab your chart here and we'll go through it real quick. You probably already know some things about it, and you can actually see on the screen here some different products that were traded on trade goods around the time of 1500. Let's first start with the chart that we got. All right, first with China. Very, very common goods that were traded included paper, compass, silk, porcelain. Write that down. Most of these goods came to Europe initially with Marco Polo, and then they became very, very popular goods in Europe, and they became in high demand. And that's why Europeans were eventually trying to get to Asia by sea. Next, India and the Middle East. We have textiles, which of course are anything made from fabric, and also the numeral system. You can see the comparison of numerals here on the left-hand side of the little chart I have. It says Indo-Arabic numbers. Indo meaning Indian, Arabic meaning Middle Eastern language that's there, sometimes called Arab numbers. So those are the numbers that we use. These are not European numbers. The European numbers were actually the ones on the right named Roman numerals. And you can just see like how much better the numbers on the left are, especially if you're trying to do math. It would be almost impossible to do algebra using letters. How would you solve for x when x is actually a number 2, not a variable? That would be insane. So textiles and numeral system is going to advance mathematics. The numeral system is going to advance mathematics in a major way. All right, China. Done with that. I'm sorry. Let's move on to Africa. Africa, we have our acronym SIGS, S-I-G-S, and that stands for salt, ivory, gold, slaves. These, of course, were traded across the trans-Saharan trade routes. At any time, if I go too fast, you can just pause the video. Next, we have advancements, specifically scientific advancements. And the science that was traded across all different trade routes include different medicinal or medicine techniques or different products that can be used for that, often some type of herb. Astronomy, which is, of course, the study of stars. And then, as we mentioned earlier, mathematics, and not just the numeral system, but also like advanced mathematics like algebra, which came from the Middle East and came to Europe via different trade routes through the Middle East. And so, yes, you can blame algebra on people from the Middle East. That is why you study it. However, these things definitely advanced both science and math, and we have our more higher technology as a result of these advancements through trade. Okay, that finishes the 2E trade goods standard. It's a very easy standard. There is a practice on the computer that you're going to do. But first, we're going to finish up with another standard 2, and that one is standard 2C, which is religious locations. As soon as we finish both these standards, you will go and do practice on both 2D and 2C. Okay, religious locations. A lot of these things we've already talked about. However, we're going to get them in writing now. On your chart, in around 1500, Buddhism was in East and Southeast Asia. And in the last 500 years, Buddhism hasn't changed. If you want to use the ditto marks and put like a little ditto mark, which looks like a quote sign, in the box for today, that's fine. Or you can write it if you would like. It's still in East and Southeast Asia. Hinduism is really easy. It was in India 500 years ago. Today, it's mostly in India. So that's pretty simple as well. If you can remember those two, the Buddhism's in East and Southeast Asia, specifically China, and then Hinduism's in India, like that makes your job a lot easier in terms of remembering this. The hard one is Islam. And Islam is in parts of Asia, parts of Africa, and parts of Europe. around 1500. Parts of Asia, parts of Africa, parts of Europe. Today, it's still basically in the same area, but the focus is now in the Middle East, which is Asia. More Asia than just the Middle East, like Pakistan, Central Asia, things like that. And also in Africa still. One thing to remember here, if you look, circle Africa in both, because the only major religion, that the biggest religion in Africa is Islam. So if you can remember that Islam's always in Africa, so circle that in both, then that's going to really help you here and keep it separated from Judaism and Christianity. All right, Judaism specifically and Christianity, both 500 years ago, are in the Middle East and Europe. Middle East and Europe. In the last 500 years, as Islam has become more dominant in the Middle East, Jews and Christians have, for the most part, fled the area, and they moved more toward Europe. Today for Judaism, it's totally changed. Now Jews are mainly concentrated in Israel, which is in the Middle East, but now they're concentrated in one country. And of course, that happened as a result of the Holocaust. After World War II, the Jews were given a homeland again, their old homeland, and of course this has caused religious conflict. But now Jews are focused in Israel. And also Jews have moved to the United States, specifically America. In America they've moved to the United States, also Canada, but focused really on North America and the United States. Until very recently, there were more Jews in the United States than there were Israel. Not true anymore. Lastly, Christianity is, because of Columbus and the movement of Europeans, Christianity was in Europe and the Middle East. Now it's focused on Europe and North and South America. If you think of your map of where religions are located, that's mostly the today part. And then the thing that you really have to focus on is the circa 1500. And just remember, the 1500, Buddhism in India haven't changed. Christianity still in Europe. Judaism was in Europe because think before the Holocaust. And the big one is Islam. And just remember, Africa is the only place where Islam is focused. It's the only religion focused in Africa. Awesome. So go ahead now and do your practices. Make sure you get perfect scores and make sure you get checked off.